Every Hokage made mistakes. Some were too idealistic, others took dangerous risks, and a few were forced to lead in situations where failure felt almost inevitable. That comes with the territory. But there's a clear difference between making difficult decisions and constantly allowing preventable disasters to spiral out of control. When you actually break down each Hokage from the 1st to the 7th and look at their overall impact over time, one name stands out for all the wrong reasons. Starting with Hashirama Senju, you're looking at the foundation of the entire ninja world as we know it. He didn't just lead the Hidden Leaf, he created it. At a time where clans were locked in endless war, Hashirama was one of the ones who pushed for unity and cooperation, something that was completely unheard of. His strength alone was enough to keep enemies in check, and his vision introduced the idea of structured peace between nations. Now, was he perfect? Not at all. His decision to distribute tailed beasts in other villages can be seen as incredibly naive and arguably set the stage for future conflicts. But even with that flaw, Hashirama built something out of nothing. His contributions outweighs his mistakes by a massive margin. Then comes Tobirama Senju, who took Hashirama's idealistic vision and turned it into a functional system. Tobirama was the architect behind the Hidden Leaf's infrastructure, the Ninja Academy, the Anbu, the systems of governance that allowed the village to actually operate efficiently. He was far more pragmatic than his brother, constantly thinking ahead and preparing for threats before they emerged. His biggest flaw, without question, was his handling of the Uchiha. His distrust created tension that would eventually explode years later, but even then, Tobirama's decisions weren't rooted in passivity. They were calculated, even if they were flawed. He acted, and in leadership, that matters. With Minato Namikaze, the conversation shifts because his time as Hokage was so short, but what matters is that he did his best with that given time. When the Nine Tails attacked the village, Minato didn't hesitate. He assessed the situation instantly, made the hardest decision possible, and sacrificed himself to save the village and secure its future. That moment alone defines his legacy. We didn't get to see long-term policy decisions or systematic leadership from him, but we saw elite-level execution under pressure. And when your defining moment is saving the entire village, you can be removed from any worse Hokage discussion. He's still an overrated character overall, but I'll give credit where credit is due. Next is Tsunade, who arguably had one of the toughest starting points of any Hokage. She stepped into leadership after Konoha had just been devastated both physically and politically. Morale was low, threats were rising, and the village was vulnerable. Tsunade didn't just stabilize things, she actively improved them. She revolutionized the medical ninja system, ensuring the teams had better survival tactics, and she made strong, divisive calls during the Akatsuki conflict. Yes, she took risks, especially when it came to trusting Naruto in high-stakes situations, but those risks constantly paid off. That's what effective leadership looks like. Calculated gambles with positive outcomes. Then you have Kakashi Hatake, whose era is often overlooked because it lacks major disasters. But that's exactly the point. Kakashi inherited a fragile peace after one of the largest wars in ninja history. Maintaining that peace required restraint, intelligence, and consistency. He oversaw modernization, helped transition the village into a more advanced era, and most importantly, didn't let things fall apart. There were no massive cries, no catastrophic failures, just steady leadership. That might not be flashy, but it is effective. Naruto Uzumaki represents the culmination of everything the Hokage title is supposed to be. He's not just the strongest Hokage in terms of raw power, he's also the most influential on a global scale. Naruto maintained peace across all major villages, strengthened alliances, and became a symbol of unity in a way no one before him could. While his personal life clearly takes a hit because of his responsibilities, his performance as Hokage is exactly what the role demands. The village is safe, the world is stable, and the system works. And then you get to Hiruzen Sarutobi, and this is where the pattern completely shifts. On paper, Hiruzen is one of the most impressive shinobi in history. He was known as the Professor, master of countless jutsu, and trained some of the most powerful ninja the world has ever seen. His resume is stacked, but leadership isn't about what you're capable of, it's about what you actually do with that capability. And when you look at Hiruzen's tenure, it's defined by missed opportunities and unchecked problems. He had the chance to stop Orochimaru early and didn't take it, which directly led to future attacks on the village and countless deaths. He allowed Danzo to operate in the shadows without proper oversight, enabling corruption and morally questionable actions to take root within Konoha itself. His handling of the Uchiha situation was not just flawed, it was catastrophic, ending in a massacre that permanently scarred the village. And perhaps most telling of all, Naruto, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails and the village's greatest asset, grew up isolated, neglected, and resented by the very people he was destined to protect. Individually, any of these failures would be significant. Together, they paint a clear picture of a leader who consistently failed to act when it mattered most. That's the core issue with Hiruzen. He wasn't incompetent and he wasn't weak. he was passive. While other Hokage made difficult, sometimes controversial decisions to protect the village, Hiruzen hesitated, compromised, or avoided confrontation altogether. And in a position where decisive action is critical, that kind of leadership leads to long-term damage. When you compare all 7 Hokage side by side, the difference becomes undeniable. The others built the village, protected it, rebuilt it, or elevated it to new heights. Their legacies are defined by progress, stability, or sacrifice. Hiruzen, on the other hand, is the only Hokage whose era is largely defined by problems that were allowed to grow unchecked until they exploded into full-blown crises. That's why, when you strip away titles, reputation, and nostalgia and focus purely on results, Hiruzen Sarutobi stands as the worst Hokage in Naruto's history.